Any doubts from any previous class? Anyone?
I was able to
Uh,
install it.
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Any?
Well, the problem that we are having is once you connect, the port forwarding, once you connect to the link that,
Yeah.
you know, somebody sent you, it takes forever, to open. I don't know if it's the internet, but I know my internet connection is pretty good. I have like 100 megabytes per second.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know why it takes forever to open.
See, ask him sometimes your firewall or the person receiver firewall will stop it. Okay. You know, when you are doing port forwarding, actually the port, your port number, some you are forwarding your some port, like we have forwarded HTTP 80, right? What command we have used?
Yes.
We have used ngrok.exe space http space 80. So the we have forwarded the port 80, right? And suppose
Mm-hmm.
someone using an antivirus or firewall in which that 80 port is blocked, what will happen? He will not be able to receive that link ever.
Okay.
Okay. So sometimes some antivirus software, some firewall stop this kind of link. That's
So,
why
Satish,
yeah,
let me ask you, even if a person logged in, because I sent Dick the link and he was able to log in,
yeah,
but it was just that it was taking a long time not to download this folder.
yeah. See what that happens. What that happens, I will explain you. Sometimes what happens, there is a authentication and there is a second thing is authorization, right? So
Mm-hmm.
some antivirus allow authentication. It means, oh, you can open it, you can log in it if you know the username and password. Okay, authentication. But after that, they stopped authorization. They start
Okay.
acting when they say, oh, someone want to make some changes in your system, or someone want to get some data is coming from another system. See, before login to any system, no data transfer take place. But once you log in, it means you will going to access the data, right? So just before you going to access the data, the firewall revoke itself, the antivirus software revoke its power at the time of authorization, not at the time of authentication. So authentication is different things, authorization is different thing, and accounting is different things. You know, triple A security, AAA, triple A. The first AE stands for authorization. It means if you need to log in, like username and password, that is known as authorization. It means, oh, hey, you are authorized to log in. Now, the second thing is after authentication, the second thing is authorization. So after authentication comes authorization. It means, okay, you are login, but what you are authorized to do after login? It means suppose you are a user and as a user, you are authorized to only download or only see or only login. So this step is known as authorization. So authorization comes after authentication. Okay. Authentication tells you whether you are a right person or not to log in, whether you know the correct username and password. If you know the correct username and password, then you are authenticated. Once you authenticated, then you will be authorized to do a certain task. And once you authorize to do a certain task, after that accounting comes. So accounting means what? What you have done, which file you have accessed. That is known as log file. You know, accounting means the log file, what you have done, which file you opened, which folder you accessed, what you have done with that files, whether you have tried to delete some files, whether you have tried to open some file, or you have downloaded just you have downloaded. Okay. So the security modules comes in three part. What does this mean? This means all the antivirus and firewall work in three phase, triple A phase. The first is authentication, the second is authorization, and the third is accounting. And when antivirus fails, or when antivirus is programmed to assess in these three levels, when the antivirus thinks that, oh, the first level is okay, good, it's just a link and it's asking a username and password. Let's give username and password. So when the user give username and password, some sensitive data may comes. Suppose you are accessing my system, right? I have sent you the link of my system and you try to access my system. What happens sometimes when you authorize, my system has been authorized for you, you try to log in it, but there are so many exe file in my system, right? There are so many executable file in my system, which your system can think, or your system antivirus will think that, oh, this exe file may be dangerous. These are maybe malware. Okay. Are you getting my points?
Yes,
See,
I am.
there are different kinds of software in my system. Okay. So my system antivirus and firewall know that, oh, these systems are copied by me and they are in my system from so many days. So it's okay with that. They give me sometimes warning, but I ignore them. Then the antivirus will remember that, oh, there is nothing to do with these programs. These are authorized by the users. But when you access my system and your system automatically get all my drives, my C drive or my D drives, and you will get so many software, so many programs. Sometimes your system or your antivirus will think that, oh, some of my programs, some of my exe files are not good for your system. It can be a malware, it can be a virus program, it can be a Trojan horse, it can be a rootkit, okay, a rootkit program. Then your system and antivirus behave, it will take time to scan, all your system start scanning my whole system, and that's why it's take so much time to load, because your system want to confirm it whether all the files are safe for opening or not before opening the file. Okay. But if you try all these in Windows 7, but if you try all these commands in Windows 7, okay, you will not face such problem. But when you are using the latest version of Windows 10 or Windows 8.1, actually they have updated this, no, all the latest antivirus software using this technology. Okay.
Okay.
Now let's come to the point. We are moving ahead, and we are going to use everything again. Okay.
Okay.
And today I will show you the some advanced version of everything. Okay. So you ready, guys? Can see my screen or not?
No.
No.
Yeah, we see. Okay, yeah.
See, so before using everything, I will show you some description. So suppose this is my everything software. The software name is, already know that, everything. So we can use this software in two ways. We can use this software for HTTP server, HTTP server, which actually normally works on port 80, okay? Or you can use this software as a FTP server, which normally works on port 21, okay? The port defined for HTTP is 80 and the port defined for FTP is 821, okay? So everything software can be used for two purposes. First is for HTTP server and second is for FTP server. Now we can provide two types of authentication in both HTTP and FTP both, okay? So what are the two types of authentication in HTTP and FTP? Okay, so I will explain you. The first one is known as authentication. As you guys know, authentication means what? Authentication means username and password, right? And the second one is known as custom port. Okay, custom port. It means it will we can change the by default port. By default port is 80. Instead of 80, you can use some another port like 8089, 8098, or 9898, 9797, or anything. Similarly, in the HTTP FTP server, you also authentication as well as custom port. Okay, custom port. Now, everything also used for a third important, one of the most important thing, and that is you can use everything as a search engine. As a search engine. Okay. So everything software can be used as a search engine. Now you can see authentication and you can see custom port. There is a second thing which is more important and which you can use about everything, and that is known as accounting. Okay, accounting. Accounting means accounting means log file. Okay, so you can create the log file for this. So we will go through all this. So just see. First of all, I'm going to open my everything software. So just I'm clicking on this and typing everything, and you can see this is my everything software, and I open this software. Just go to tools, go to options. You can see enable HTTP server. So when you enable HTTP server, your HTTP server will work. Now you go here and you can see enable FTP server. If you enable FTP server, you can see, and the port number for FTP is 21. You can also assign separate username and password for your FTP server, like admin. Okay. And for HTTP server, you can assign something different, like root, and the password is Red Hat. Suppose Red Hat. Okay. And you can see the by default port is 80. Okay. Apply. Okay. Now just see the IP address of my Windows machine. Suppose CMD. And the IP address is 192.168.43.208. 43.208. So now I am going to log into this system, Linux machine. I'm going to check this IP address. Okay. Okay, clear. I'm going to flush this firewall. So firewall not disturb us. Now this is the command line browser, elinks, and the IP address of my Windows machine. So what is the IP address of my Windows machine on which everything is used? 43.208. So 43.208. Okay. So what will happen? You can see it's asking for HTTP authentication. You can see. So HTTP authentication is root. And I type the my HTTP server username password web server. Password is Red Hat. Okay, and click OK, and you can see it's open, right? The C drive, D drive has been opened, and you can go to D drive, and from here you can download any data. Okay, so I am going to ISO file, and I will show you downloading a data. So I am going to download the Red Hat file, RHEL5 file, because we need that file in the later classes. Okay, so I am going to download it. Go to click it, and click on save. Click on OK and press enter. Okay, and you can see downloading started, and within few seconds or just in a minute, this file will be downloaded. Okay, and the RHEL file 5.4 ISO file size is 2.8 GB, and you can see within few seconds 2.8 GB file will be downloaded, because it is not using your internet, because I am using this in my own network. So it is using your local network, not your internet network. That's why when you are downloading 2.8 GB data, it means it is not using your internet. It's just using your bridge adapter, okay? Which we have set up during our VirtualBox installation. So you can see the file has been downloaded, and if you want to confirm it, just quit from here. So how to quit? Just press Q. Okay. If you press Q, it will be quit. Or if you don't want to press Q, just press escape key, okay? And when you press escape key, you will see this option. And now click on file, and then you can come downside and you can click on this one, exit, and press enter. It will ask you, do you want to really exit? Yes. And that's all. Now you cross check using ls-lh, and you can see RHL 5.4 ISO file has been downloaded, right?
Yeah.
You can see, and the size is 2.8 GB. So we need this software for our future use. That's why I have downloaded it. And we have also learned how to download any file from Windows machine to Linux machine using everything, right?
Yes.
Now you can see we have used the HTTP, but you forget that we are also using FTP. FTP. So you can also use FTP. So how to use FTP? So you can use this like elinks FTP and colon and the IP address. And so you can see it's asking username and password. So username for FTP is admin. And you can see I am able to open the file. The only change is the view. You can see the look. There is only changing in the look, but all the things are same. Okay, now you can download anything from anywhere in the same way. Just go to any file and you can download direct. Okay, suppose I want to download this file, I will just click here and then click on save and then click on OK, and you can see downloading has been started and completed. Just press Q to quit. Yes, that's all. ls-la, and you can see GNS3 IO OBF file has been downloaded and the size is 174 MB. So we don't need that software anymore. So I will going to delete that. Okay.
Satish,
Yeah.
one question.
Ask.
Okay, it's like you are transferring a file or you are downloading a file from our Windows machine.
Yeah.
That's why
Windows,
you are.
yeah. Windows machine to Linux machine using HTTP or FTP server. I told you what we are learning. We are learning this one. Everything as HTTP and FTP. So I have used both application, HTTP and FTP.
And
And using
FTP,
this,
yeah.
yeah. So using this application, I have showed you some tasks. Like I have shown you the authentication process of both HTTP and FTP, and I have also showed you how to download data using this application. Okay, using HTTP or FTP. Now I will going to show you how to use the custom port. You can see this custom port. Okay. See, I am going to remove the authentication, the first authentication, username and password. So I am going to remove authentication from both HTTP and FTP. So what does this mean? This means now you can directly access the file. It will not ask you for any username or password. Okay. You can see I just type this one and it's directly open. Similarly, I quit here and I directly just type elinks FTP and it will directly open. It will not asking any username and password because I have removed the authentication process. Now I am quitting and going to set custom port. So how to change the custom port? See, go to option. You can see here HTTP and you can see here listen port is 80. Now I am going to customize the port 8089. Okay. Now what will happen? If I try to open this one elinks, it will not open. You can see connection refused. Why connection refused? You know the reason? Because I have shifted this system to a custom port and now you have to type the port number like 8089, which is our custom port. And when you have to type this, it will open. You can see it's open again. Similarly, you can port your you can change the port of your FTP server. So you can see the FTP server port is 21. So instead of 21, I have used 2129 or 21999. Okay, 2199. Now the custom port for FTP is 2199. So if you just type this one, it will not open. It will say connection refused. But if you type the port number 2199, you can see it's opening. Okay. So for security reasons, it is required to change the custom port, because by default port for 21 is FTP is 21, and by default port for HTTP server is 80. And including you, even a hacker or even a network engineer or even all the technical guys know about these things, that FTP work on port 21 and HTTP work on port 80. So if you don't customize the port number, it will be easy for the hacker to attack your system. You know, in the coming classes, we will learn how to hack the username and password of this server. Suppose the password for this is root and username is root and password is 12345 6. In the later classes, I will show you how to hack the password of this user. Okay, how to hack this username and password. Even I don't know the username and password, how can I hack this? Okay, including this, I will show you the third things. What is the third thing? That is, accounting or a log file. So I will show you how you can set up a log file, so that even someone log into your system, you will be able to trace him, who is logging to your system, who is trying to access what of your data, or who is accessing which kind of data from your system. You can assess all these things. Let's see how. Go to tools, go to options, and I am going to HTTP server, and I am going to set up a log file for my HTTP server. So I'm just, you can see a log file option, and by default it is blank. So I'm going to select it and make a custom folder on this our system. So I am going to set up a folder on my desktop. So click desktop and then apply and then okay. Now there is no, by default there is no any file here. You can see there is no any log file here. But once we try to access the data of that system, the log file will be generated. See, I am going to access FTP server, HTTP server, and I am going to my D drive. Suppose I am going to D drive, and I am going to the folder name books. Okay, and now I am coming quit. Yes. Now go to the system and you will see a file here. You can see inside VirtualBox there is a file, HTTP server log. Can you see this file?
Yes, yes.
Now see, I click on this file and you can see there is a log file here. So in log file, what you can see? You can see the IP address of remote machine which tried to log into your system. You can see this is the IP address of my Linux machine. And it's showing that this IP has accessed your data, and it's also saying this machine has going to your D drive. And where you have going to D drive, you can see D drive inside books folder, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can see the folder name here. I'm going to make it larger for you. Okay, okay. So you can see here books folder, D drive books folder, and you can also see the IP address and timing. Timing is 6:58 AM here. So it's also showing at what time this data has been accessed. Okay, and it also saying what is the IP address of that machine which have accessed your data. So IP address is 43.26. So you can check your IP address. So you can see the IP address is 192.168.43.26. Can you see the IP address?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it will tell you that which machine have tried to log into your system or which machine have accessed your data. So in this way, you can create a log file or you can create a accounting that which person have accessed your data from which IP and which folder has been accessed. Okay. This is the complete evaluation of your data. So these are the few things which are important for you guys to know. Now you can see that this is everything software. You can use this everything software also to search something. Suppose you want to search something like Linux hack. So if you just type Linux hack, you can see these things. Okay. You just want to type movies. So you can see movies here. Okay. You just want to type cyber security. Just type cyber security. and you can see all the cyber security related things. And if you want to just open it, you can just right click and open. Okay, you can direct open from this side. Okay,
Okay.
so we can search anything from this machine. Similarly, you can do this on this remote machine also. Like you can go here and I can type enter here and I can type here Linux. Suppose I want to download RHEL5 ISO file. So I will just type RHEL and press enter. Yes. And you can see it is giving me the link of all RHEL related things, right? And if I want to download any particular things, I can click over that. You can see I RHEL 8 here and I can click on any link. So what does this mean? This means everything software can also be used as a search engine. This one. So we have gone through all the application like log file. We have gone through search engine, how to use this as a search engine, how to use as a HTTP server, how to use it as a FTP server, how to provide authentication to HTTP and FTP, how to provide security through custom port, how to change the port of FTP server using custom port. We have gone through all these topics. Okay, and now we have also downloaded. Yeah, ask. Go through.
The authentication is when you set the user and the password for
Right.
everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And the custom is when you change when you change the port number, and
Yeah,
then
that is known as,
you
yeah, that is known as custom port security, or you can also say that port-based security. Okay, that is
no, I'm
also
not
known as
getting-
it is also known as port-based security. Alex, are you using headphone?
no.
Uh, you have to use headphone. It will help you to clear to see or to hear, listen loudly and clearly. If you using headphone, you will be able to understand and listen more properly. No, for every online class nowadays, you need a proper headphone. Am I right, Patrick?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a minute. I have a headphone here. It's not like
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Satish, what
Yeah.
is what you want somebody who want to use FTP instead of HTTP and vice versa? Like, I know both of them pretty much do the same thing, but there should be a small difference. What
Yeah.
is that? What
See.
could be that difference?
See, remember. See, HTTP is mostly known as Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It is mainly used for a web application or web server. Okay. So when I said HTTP server, actually I am saying you about a web server. Okay. And there are different types of web server available in market now, right now. The most popular one is Apache web server. The most popular one is Apache web server, which is common for every operating system. You can use Apache on Windows, you can use Apache on Linux. So Apache is platform independent, OS independent. Once you are running Apache, you do not care about Windows or Linux. Apache is used everywhere on a, this is a type of web server which you can use everywhere. But on a website, you can keep some data, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you guys have seen my website, linuxui.com, I have already kept there some data and you can download data from that site, right? So by default, nowadays, with HTTP server, FTP is included. Okay? It means HTTP is an inclusive software. You can say HTTP is inclusive of all. Because now using HTTP, you can also access mail server like https mail.google.com or gmail.com, and you are going to mail server. So nowadays, HTTP is inclusive of all. You can also transfer data using HTTP.
I
However,
can see your screen though.
Now, when you are seeing Patrick, Vic, and yourself,
Yeah.
it means you are actually watching my screen. Okay? Can you see? Can you see Patrick?
Yeah, I see Patrick, I see Vic,
Can
but
you see Vic? It means you are watching my screen. Okay? Don't worry. I have used this screen when I communicate with you. Okay? When I need to show something on my computer, I will share my screen. Okay? So don't
okay.
need to worry about. We are talking. They have some questions, and I am going to answer these questions. That's why I have shared this screen. Okay, so that I can see you guys and I can see what you guys have. If someone want to ask some question, I am here to listen you guys. Okay, and that's the FTP stand for File Transfer Protocol. It means wherever a file transfer takes place, some noise coming from somewhere, some noise coming
Uh,
from some side. If
hold on.
anyone know, please mute. If someone knows where the noise coming. Yeah, it's coming from Patrick. Good.
I think
No, no, it was no. I'm using those. I'm not using. I'm using
yeah,
what those
I think it's
Alex,
Alex because he just added the
the
headset.
headset.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
But I'm still hearing like a humming. Patrick mute. Let's see. Patrick mute. Let's see.
Alex, now it's
Yeah.
okay. Now
Yeah,
it's
it
okay.
looks like there's a small noise coming from Patrick, but the biggest one was
Alex.
from yeah,
See,
yeah.
FTP is used for file transfer protocol. File transfer means when a file transfer from one system to another system, FTP protocol comes into work, or FTP server is working, or you can say FTP service is working. FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol, and you know the definition of protocol. Protocol means a set of predefined rules. It means it is already defined that what is the role of FTP. I am not telling that. Okay, it has been
Okay.
already defined what HTTP will do, what is FTP will do, what SMTP will do. All the services are predefined. That's why they are known as protocols. FTP, File Transfer Protocol, HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now, file transfer take place in two ways. The one way is server to client, and the second way is client to server. You know? So, file transfer take place only in two ways: server to client and client to server. When the data transfer or file transfer take from server to client, that process is known as downloading. Right? When you are downloading some
Mhm.
data from YouTube, so YouTube is a server and you are downloading some video, actually at that time the data transfer take place from server to client,
Mhm.
and that process is known as downloading. So if you have to define the process of downloading, and if someone asks you how to define download or define download, so you can define download as when data transfer take place from server to client, that process is known as downloading. And when the data transfer take place from client to server, that is known as uploading. Suppose you have a video file on your laptop and you try to upload that file on YouTube channel, YouTube server, or you have a photo on your system and you want to on your mobile, or you want to upload that photo on your Facebook. So what are you doing? Actually, you are a client and Facebook is a server, and you are uploading a video or a photo from your mobile to Facebook server. So when you are uploading or when you are transferring actually some data from your machine, local machine, to remote server or any server, that process is known as uploading. And when you are downloading some data, or it means you are taking some data from server to client, or you are trying to bring some data from server to client. So there is a question arises, the concept of server and client. So which machines can be server and which machines can be client? Someone asked me that can it is possible that my mobile can be a server? Yes, remember, any machine could be server and any machine could be a client, depending on the question that whether that machine is providing service or taking the service. If you are providing the service, you are a server, and if you are enjoying the service only, then you are a client. Since we called Gmail as a mail server only because Gmail is providing mail service and we are only client. Suppose my email ID is satish@gmail.com. What does this mean? This means Satish is a client of gmail.com server. There are millions of clients of Gmail. Gmail has millions of clients, right? Not even millions, I think billions of clients. Even you can create, anyone can create email ID in Gmail server. So how you can create? Because the Gmail server is working. Once Gmail will stop working, Gmail will stop providing the mail servicing, you will not be able to create any email ID in Gmail. So only we are able to create any services or any email ID in Gmail because Gmail is providing such services. That's why it is known as server. So in my case, you can see I have used this machine as I have installed everything software on my system. I have used everything software on my system, and I have enabled HTTP. Enable HTTP. Okay. So what will happen? This means my machine is now acting as a what? My machine is
Server.
working as a server because I have installed HTTP server is working on my system. It means someone able to take data from my system and will be able to download that data to their system. Okay. And if you want to use this, if you want to see, I'm going to show you on my mobile. Okay.
You mean your phone?
Yeah, iPhone. See, let's see. I am going to type the IP address of my mobile. Okay. So the IP address of my mobile is 43.1. And then I am going to use some custom port 8080. Okay. And you guys can see my mobile now.
Yes.
Hello. Okay. So you guys can see my mobile. I will show you later how to share your screen, how your mobile on your browser. You can open your mobile on your browser. Okay. Now you know that what is the IP address of my system. You can see my computer 192.168.43.208. So I can access that system on my mobile also because my computer, my Windows laptop is acting as a server now. So I can open this browser and I can type the IP address 192.168.43.208. Okay. So what will happen if type the IP address? You can see. I'm going to zoom it. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
I can open my C drive and D drive. And the same thing you can do. If you have enabled everything software on your laptop and you are using an iPad or you are using a mobile phone, you just type the IP address of your Windows machine on your mobile browser. You will see your Windows C drive, D drive, or whatever drive. Okay. And see, I'm going to SSD drive, and you can see I am able to get the data on my mobile phone. Right? Not only this,
Yes.
I can search anything. I can search anything. You can see here search option. So suppose I want to search Linux software, I can search here. You can see
Yes.
I am able to search, and I just click on that link and I will get all the softwares. Okay. So it is very easy to use or very easy to use everything as a server, and you can do so many tasks related to data transfer. See, I have shown you how to transfer data from your Windows machine to Linux machine. And now you can see how to take data from your Windows machine to your mobile phone. Okay. So you can use these things also. Now, which software I am going to use this? I will show you how to share your screen. Okay. So if you are using Android phone, Android mobile, and if you are an Android user, it is very easy for you to share your screen on internet. Okay, there are so many software for, and I am using this software. You can see screen stream. See the top line. You can see
Oh, screens.
Mhm.
Okay.
screen stream. So this is the software I am using to share my screen on my browser. And now you can see how I can do this. Open this software, okay, and just below you can see I have there is a stop option. Can you see a stop option? Just you
Yeah.
can see the downside. Downside. You
Yeah.
can see a stop option. Okay.
Mhm.
So at first, when you start this application, you will see a start option here. Okay. So you just have to press start, and your link will be open. You can see this link 192.163.43.1 and port number is 8080, right?
Mhm.
So this is the port which is used for, you have to type this port, this address in your browser. You can see I have typed the same address in my web browser. You can see here.
Yes.
So you want us to do it right now because we are focusing on the lecture for now.
No, you can do it later. Okay, you can see the software name.
Okay, all right.
You can
All
see
right.
the software name. Software name is Screen Stream. Okay, and you can use this
that
software.
is for. I'm sorry, Satish. That is for the Android device.
Yeah,
Correct?
yeah,
Okay.
it's for Android device. We believe in open source. We believe in all the free softwares. Okay, because we think software should be free for all. We are open source community guys. Okay. Now,
And
now
for
people will ask.
iPhone,
See, for iPhone, you can search alternative software. You will get some alternative software. Okay. Or I will find some software for you and I will tell you later. Okay.
okay.
No, no, iPhone, they already, most of them are paid software. But if you okay, Google, you will get some software for that. Okay.
Okay.
Now there is a question arises that someone asks you, okay, it is possible to configure this machine. We know how to configure this machine as a server. Then they will ask you a question: is it possible to configure your mobile as a server? People will ask me that can my mobile can be a server? Yes, your mobile could be a server. Okay. So it's depend what you are doing or which machine is providing the service. So if your mobile can provide some kind of service, your mobile can be a server. Now let's understand. I'm going to show you how to use your Android mobile or any your Android phone as a server. So you can see this software, simple HTTP server. Can you see on my screen?
Mm-hmm.
The name of the software is simple HTTP server. So now I am going to click on that software and you can see this one. Okay. By default, this software is off. So I am going to on it. Okay. Now you can see the software is on. Now if you can see this, you can see the IP address. The IP address is 192.168.43.1 and the port number is 12345. So what does this mean? This means now if you type this one, you can access my mobile on my browser, my PC. You can see. I will type 192.163.43.1 and the port number is 12345. And when I type this, it's asking for the username and password. Now let's see my screen. What is the username and password I've set? Go to settings. And you can see I have set some username and password. Username is Satish and password is something I don't know. Let's change it to 12345 6. Okay. Okay. So I am going to type username Satish and password 12345 6. Okay. I then click on sign in. Okay, it's saying save. No, never. I want to. First of all, let's remove it. It's not save. You can see some error comes that someone tried to access your data from 243.208 IP Windows machine. So what I am actually going to do, I am going to remove this security option. for right now. And I am going to remove this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's remember in cache memory. So what I am going to reload it. So I'm going to off it and again on it. Okay, and now you can see it's not need any password and it has opened my. Can you see it? It is able to open my mobile device, so you can directly see my Android phone now. This is all my Android data. You can go to any of my folder, you can go to my camera folder, and you can take the photo taken by me. Okay? Anyone?
How did you check the IP address of your mobile? Did you use the same thing?
No, just you
what
can't
is
see.
my IP address?
No, just see at the top of the software. Here the IP address
Okay.
displayed.
Once you download the software, on your phone.
Yeah. There are different way. There are another way to see the IP address. There are another way to see the IP address. You can go to your settings. Go to settings, and then you can go to your. I will show you. You can see data is on. Okay. So I am going to share the details. So just wait here. My Wi-Fi is on. Okay, no. So I am using this as my mobile, not with Wi-Fi. So you can use this application. It is better to use. I am not using Wi-Fi. At this time, you can see my Wi-Fi is off. Okay. So actually, we are using this as a portable hotspot. So I am using hotspot to connect with my system. So you can see all the things have been happened here. I have configured hotspot on my mobile. So if you want to check in this case your IP address, you just have to open this application which I told you. Whether this application and you can see the IP address at the top 192.168.43.1.25 and also this IP address, this system, this application, and that is known as SIM screen stream. Okay. So you can just see the IP address 192.168.43.1. Okay. And if you are using your mobile phone, then to connect with your system, then just go to your system, go to your command prompt and type the ipconfig command. Okay. And now check your default gateway. What is the IP address of your default gateway?
192.168.43.
Okay, 43.1. It means, so once you are connected with your mobile hotspot, the gateway IP of your computer will be the IP address of your mobile device. Okay.
Okay.
The gateway IP
Okay,
address
because they are on the same network because it's wireless.
Right.
They are all using the same wireless. Okay.
Right. Okay.
But if you are on data, let's say you are not using the Wi-Fi, you are using the cell data.
Yeah.
Then it will be different.
Yeah, if you are using Wi-Fi device, then this IP address, default gateway is the IP address of your Wi-Fi router. See, if you are using mobile
No, I
hotspot,
understand that. I understand that. I'm asking. Here in America, we have the option to use Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi we have at home, or the data that the phone came with, which is provided, from the service provider. So those IP shouldn't be the same, right?
No, those IP address not say. See, always remember, thus default gateway will be the IP address of that machine, which is actually providing the internet. See, you have so many devices at your home, okay? And out of those all devices, one device will be the master device. It will master device means the device which is providing internet to all other devices. The default gateway IP address will be the address of that master device. In my case, I am using my mobile device as a master device, and I am using my mobile data to use in my laptop. You can see I am connected with my mobile hotspot, and you can see this I am connected with Satish Tiwari. So Satish Tiwari is what? This is my hotspot, and I am showing you. Let me show you my screen, my computer screen. Okay, so I will show you
Okay.
hotspot. You can see go to settings and go to portable hotspot. Okay, and you can see here if I go to setup portable hotspot, can you see the name? Satish Tiwari. SSID name is Satish
Tiwari.
Tiwari. And the same
Uh-huh.
you can see I am connected with this here. You can see Satish Tiwari here. It means I am connected with my mobile device. So my master device is my mobile device. Okay.
Yeah.
So my gateway IP will be my PC gateway IP will be the IP address of my master device. It means my gateway device, and my gateway device is my mobile. Okay. You can use your Wi-Fi device.
So if we are using our Wi-Fi, so that will be the same gateway
Yeah.
IP
Yeah.
we should use for
Yeah.
our. Okay.
Yeah. Then this address will be the address of your Wi-Fi router. Okay.
Okay.
When you are using Wi-Fi, when you are connected with Wi-Fi router, then the default gateway IP will be the address of your Wi-Fi router. Okay.
Okay.
Now I think you will be able
So
to perform
this.
that.
Okay, the stream, how do they call it, HTTP server. That one just that one help us to get the IP for our phone, or what does it do?
See, our phone already have an IP address. If you are running internet, you can't run internet without any IP. Is it possible to run an internet without any IP address? No.
No, that's not my question. What I'm saying, where does app the app the app, the first app, the one you show us, what does it do? You say that help us to get the IP and type on our browser on our computer.
See, I have show you two applications. I have
Okay.
only show you two applications. The first one is the second one is simple HTTP server. You can see simple HTTP server. And you can see this simple HTTP server is on. So if you use this application, actually simple HTTP server, you have not clearly seen the name. If you see the name, you can understand it simply. It is simply a HTTP server. You know HTTP server?
Yeah.
And the
HTTP
name
server.
of this, yeah, and the name of this application is simple HTTP server. You can clearly see the name. It means using this application, you can configure a web server on your mobile. Now my mobile is a web server, and if you want to access your web server, you can see the IP address here 192.168.43.1 and the port is 12345. So if you type the same here, same IP address 43.1 and the colon 12345, you will be able to access your mobile data. You can see my all mobile data is here. Okay. So if you are using this one, if you are using document section, if you are using presentation PPT, you can download any software from there. Okay, you can download it, you can open it. Okay, you can use it, whatever you want. So how I am able to do that? I am able to do that because of this application.
Okay.
Simple HTTP server. And once I want to stop this service, I just click on here and you can see now it is off. Okay. So when it is off, it will not work and you can close it. That's all. And now it will not work. And another software I showed you is Screen Stream. You can see this is Screen Stream software. So why you use this software? I use this software to share my screen on. You can share your screen on all the system. suppose there are 100 of a student in your class. Okay, you are taking a class, and there are 100 of a student in your class, and you want to show them what you are doing on your mobile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So what you will do? You will on this one screen stream, and you will give them this address. Hey guys, type this IP address 192.168.43.1, and the port number is 8080 on your browser. So what will happen? All your student will open in their laptop. They will type this IP address and this port number, and they will be able to see your screen. They all will be able to see your screen at a time. Okay. And now whatever you do on your screen, they will be able to see that thing. Okay. If you open my Geo application, this is the internet. No. So if you use this one, they will be able to see this. Okay. Whatever application you open, they will be able to see all the application. Okay. They will be able to
Okay, if
see everything in the system. Yeah, say.
okay, Satish, even we are not on the same network, it will work at the same time. Like I say, if you give me, if I type this IP from your phone and I type on my browser, can I have access to your screen?
No, no. We have to do, for this reason we have done port forwarding. You know, yesterday we have
Yeah,
done port
this
forwarding.
is this locally. This thing that you're showing is in your own like network. You can like
Yeah,
Oh,
it's the
same,
same network. I am doing this,
same
all these
network.
things in my second. Yeah. And if I want to share anything with you guys, I have to do port forwarding for that. You guys have remember yesterday we have done, in the previous session we have done the port forwarding. You guys can access my system from there. And that was possible only because of port forwarding. That's why port forwarding is required. Can you understand why we have done port forwarding?
yeah.
Right now, I am doing all these things in my local network. It means all these
Okay,
IP belong to same network.
okay, I got you.
Okay. If I want to share anything remotely, I have to do port forwarding. Otherwise, I will not be able to do any task. Okay. So I hope you guys remember all this software, and you have to practice this software on both your Windows machine and your Android machine. If you have any Android mobile, you try this. Okay.
Okay.
And you can
Before. Okay, go ahead. Finish, and I'll ask my question.
So there are too many tools. The next session, I will show you how to use your mobile phone camera as a webcam. Okay. Suppose your mobile phone is in different room and you are sitting in a different room. You can even access or you can see what is happening in another room on your laptop using your mobile. It means your mobile is somewhere and you can access your mobile camera from your laptop.
Without
for
turning on the phone.
What? Yeah, without
Without
your phone in
without
your
turning
phone
on
in
the
your
phone.
hand. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
your phone will be not in your hand. Okay.
Okay.
So
And
you can
for
do
that,
this.
yeah, and
Go
for
ahead.
that we are going to use IP webcam software.
So you can do the same thing with wireless, like
Yeah,
camera,
yeah,
wireless camera.
yeah. We will in later classes we will do same thing on remote. It means I will send you a link, and if you click, someone has please mute someone mic. I getting my echo.
Okay. Let me mute myself. Let's see.
Yeah. See, you have to use IP webcam, and in the later session, I will show you another hacking method, and that method is I will send you a link, and if you click on that link, what will happen? Your camera will be accessed by me. I can see what is your camera is taking. I can see your camera will take some pictures, and that pictures will comes to my mobile or my system. So just by sending a link, I can access your camera. Are you getting my point? Just by sending a link, I can access your camera. I can get clicks from your camera. So this will be sometime this will be harmful. That's why it is prohibited by cyber expert that never to click on any unknown links. Okay, never click on any unknown links. So cyber awareness is so important these days, especially these days. Okay, because cyber crime is getting, they are cyber experts, and cyber crime is getting speak. There are so many hackers and all the crackers and the kids who learning in hacking. They are trying every tools, every methods to hack someone's system. They are randomly trying to attack some mobile, some PCs, some laptop, some servers. Even some guy don't know what they are doing, but actually he is trying to attack some system. He's trying to harm some system or some mobile, or to pick access some cameras. Okay, that's why so many people nowadays learning this type of hacking, and so many guys are interested in learning ethical hacking. That's why they come to me. But it's so dangerous also. If you are misusing this one, you will be only responsible for that, because once you misuse these things, you will be responsible for all these things. Okay.
Okay. So that brings me to my question, Satish.
Ask.
Can you give us? I mean, I just want to have an outlook, okay, of what because we are learning as the days are going. We are learning different things, and like, what is a typical day would look like for a cybersecurity analyst? I know there are different positions, but like because like all these tools, like, are we using this kind of thing daily on the job market, or like what is a typical day for a cybersecurity analyst?
So the typical day for cybersecurity analysis, when you are hacked, when your system get hacked, when someone done some brute force attack or someone done a DDoS attack on your system, then it comes to you what you are doing then. Then you have to find out how they are able to hack my system, how they have assessed system, which tools they have used to assess my system, where is my system vulnerability. You have to find your system vulnerability and you have to fix them, all those vulnerabilities. First of all, your task will be to stop the hackers from your system and kick him out, okay? And then you have to fix all the issues, whether the hackers have done created some backdoor in your system. You have to find out whether some backdoors have been created for future use. See, when hackers hack your system, they create a backdoor so that in future they can come to your system again, okay? So you have to find out all the backdoors. We have yet not started the ethical hacking part, okay? Not the
Okay.
actual cyber security part. So because we are not use any cyber attacks part. So once you learn brute force attack, phishing attack, social engineering attack, DDoS attack, then you will understand these things. Oh my God, these are the tools which makes hackers more powerful and which irritates you guys. Okay, these hacking tools irritate cyber security guys so much. That's why you need to know about the firewall. You need to know about the malware detection tool. You need to know about the audit. You need to know about the antivirus setup. And that's why we are going to learn all these things. We need to learn about cryptography, encryption, decryption. So that even your system, the worst situation is your system get hacked. So you want your data to be safe even in the worst situation, okay? Even you are in the bad phase of your cyber security job, still you want your data to be safe. And for that, we need cryptography. So at last, you will completely depend on cryptography. Cryptography is going to help you so much. And the second thing is going to help you is the firewall. The third thing which is going to help you is antivirus protection. The fourth thing which is going to help you is malware detection tool. And the fifth thing which is going to help you is auditing tool, how to audit and how to find the loops and bugs in configuration file, users information. And the sixth one is rootkit scanner. So we will learn all these things. And once you getting all these things one by one, you will understand, oh, okay. So when you have any virus attack, we have to use this one. We have to do malware detection tool. We have to do antivirus software. We have to do rootkit scanning. We have to do audit tool. And we have to do firewall, configure firewall. And all these combined effect will help you to protect your system from this kind of attack. Apart from this, we will also learn how to do network security. It means how to provide security to your network, how to provide security to your IP, how to provide security, time-based security, time-based security. We will also learn how to provide load-based security. It means we only want to put some specific load on your system. You don't want more load, otherwise your system may crash, right? So we will also learn about load-based security. We will also learn about connection-based security. Okay, so we are going to learn all these things, and these all things combined to protect your system, protect your network, protect your server, protect your machine from all kind of attacks. So there is not only a single, there is no any single tool to protect your system. Okay, we have to configure so many things, and they combine together to protect your system. Okay, from every side, from network attack, from IP attack, from DOS attack, from brute force attack, from dictionary attack, from any type of web attack, from phishing attack. So we use all this software, from malware attack, from Trojan horse attack. No, there are sometimes attack. You understand about that. And nowadays there are also a major kind of attacks. If you know, the file comes to your system and they will encrypt all your data, and that is known as ransomware attack. Ransomware. Do you guys have heard about ransomware attack?
Yes.
Yeah,
One
I've
day
heard
somebody
about
send you a
it. Yeah,
link,
they are using it a lot
ask you
nowadays,
something.
and
Yeah.
they are taking a lot of money from company,
Right. So
big
what they are doing,
companies.
what they are actually doing, they are encrypting your data. The cryptography is doing the task. They are actually encrypting your whole data, and now you will not be able to recover that data, and you have to pay for them if you want your data back. And they ask you money in Bitcoin, they ask you the money in Litecoin, you have to pay in cryptocurrency. Because cryptocurrency will hide their identity. No government can trace them. No one can trace them. Oh, who is that guy who has taken money from me? Okay. So we will not discuss about cryptocurrency here, because we are not. This is not our cryptocurrency mining class. We will discuss about Bitcoin on other coin in only our cryptocurrency mining class. So this class is simply on cyber security, audit, and penetration testing. Okay. So we are mainly focused on that. So you ask me that what are the phases and challenges we are going to face in our cyber security job. I told you that this kind of challenges you are going to face, and these things you must need to learn before you work as a cyber forensic or cyber expert or a audit engineer or a penetration tester. Okay. And after, this is not the all. This is not the all. Okay, this is not the all. Only 25 days or 30 days course is not makes you more experienced guy, like 2 years, 3 years guy. Okay, but after that course, you will be able to work as a cyber expert. You will be able to work in a cyber security field. Okay, you have to enhance your skill more. You have to learn more technology. Okay, you want to become expert, then it will take more 6 months. If you learn 6 months training, then you will learn more, even more. You want 1 year program, you will learn even more. This field is so much things, and one people can't be expert in all these things. but your responsibility is to learn as more as you can. Okay, you have to learn as more as you can. I can't say, I don't say you to learn all the things, but you should learn as more you can, and you have to try for that. Okay, read books, watch videos on YouTube, try to Google when you face some issues, and if you are in class, you can ask me during class session. Okay, you have still 20 days, so you can ask me anything during the class. We can discuss on that topic, and if you face any difficulties, I will explain you, I will show you. Okay, okay,
Okay.
guys.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so my another batch is waiting. So
All right.
see you guys tomorrow, and you must finish this task, okay, which you have done
Yes.
today.
Okay.
And
Okay.
if you still feel any difficulties, we can discuss in the next class. Okay, you can ask me.
Okay.
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 All right.
See you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.